So even if the Dark Souls role-playing game doesn't look anything like 5e with all the changes they've made, if they can say, we use the 5e chassis, that's automatically going to get people to look at it. And I'm mildly disappointed, but no shade. I tend to think that like Dark Souls is a big enough property and has enough name recognition on its own where they could have used an original system or anything else and still would have gotten people to look at it. Right. Though arguably perhaps not as many as if they said 5e.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And they could have always done, what a lot of people do an original system and then say, okay, and then we'll port it to 5e if there's demand for it. If people are not excited by this, but especially with the mechanics that they built for a board game, you're kind of halfway there.
Sometimes more than halfway there, depending on how board game-y your role-playing game feels. And if Dark Souls is like, I don't know. Okay, do you go into a town in Dark Souls? Do you interact with people other than at the point of a weapon? If not, then how much more did you need? I don't know.
True. Yeah, I'm curious how they're going to handle the kind of respawning, like reanimation of the character, because that's going to be very different from how you would play 5e. Is you're just expected to die, to fail, and keep coming back. Yeah. And how do you manage that with a whole party and
Well, reading that thing, right? They said, okay, like if you there's no death save, right? If you get to 0 hit points, you're dead. Right. And then you resurrect back at whatever campfire you did. And they also said if half your party dies, that's it. You're all wiped, right? So, okay, I like that, right? It encourages people to play smart and help each other out because, hey, if half the team gets to it, we're all TPK'd, so let's not do that. Yeah. Then they mentioned something about how you're going to lose memories or slowly lose your humanity for each time you resurrect at the back of the bonfire. Didn't really go into it, but that reminded me of the Dungeon World supplement, Cold Ruins of Last Life, where the world, it's similar. The world is dead, and you all play undead. And, of course, you can just resurrect. But you have this track of, Spark or something else. I forget exactly what it's called. And each time you do resurrect, you got to cross one of these things off, and you lock out options, character advancement options. So there is a mechanical penalty, and I thought, they're probably going to do something similar here because they don't have, no one has a monopoly on it. But I really liked how they did it in Cold Ruins of Last Life because it's kind of dungeon world and it feels a bit more thematic and you're that much farther away from reclaiming kind of the knowledge you lost when the world broke and all this stuff. So hopefully Steamforged will do something interesting with it instead of just a stat debuff.
Yeah, right.
That's kind of what I'm expecting.
Yeah, so we'll see. And this is the shame about this coming to tabletop is there's so much independent RPGs, tabletop RPGs that were inspired by Dark Souls, and now those are going to kind of get eclipsed because do you want to drink? Do you want a Coca-Cola or do you want the artisan, made cola? It's well, I don't know how good that's going to be.
You say artisan made, and I'm sure it is artisan made, but when I hear artisan made, I think expensive.
Right?
And
That's true.
Most indie games are priced aggressivly reasonably, right?
Yeah, right. So you could try all 10 that are inspired for the price of probably the core book. Yeah, that's true.
I wonder, and I'm sure there's going to be a number of itch jams called where it's just okay, we could have done something better. Or why use 5e? I wonder if people, I would hope, but I don't think, I wonder if people would go, okay, we tried Dark Souls, didn't do what we wanted to do, let's try some of these other indie games.
Yeah, that could be.
I tend to think people who already do that would already do that, and people who go, no, 5e, are not going to.
Well, that might be worth a review, going through this system, saying what works about it, what is still, undeniably not playably 5e, and then here's other options. I think that would be an interesting, approach to the.
I also do want to play the board game.
Oh yeah, definitely. We will get.
That would be cool.
We'll get to all of that. Yeah, and that'll be fun to look at the board game rules added to what they did with the combat and say, they had that already.
Right.
Yeah.
Or why didn't you use this?
Right. Yeah. You have everything in this box.
You had it all right there. Yeah.
And you went to 1-inch grids and oh man.
Yeah.
Well, something else that is coming out that looks really fun is Orc Borg. So this is
Not Orc Borg or whatever. Are there umlaut? Is there an umlaut there?
There's no umlaut in this, and it's a C instead of a K because K is Games Workshop.
Is it?
I think so. I
thought that's why they went to like Orcs or whatever it is.
I think for the fantasy, for fantasy, yeah. So these are sci-fi, these are sci-fi orcs. So Rowan, Rook, and Decard are releasing this. And it's the story. So players play as orcs trapped on a spaceship flying towards a crash landing on some unfortunate planet. So it's.
So you're playing the WOG.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So, So the derelict is a big, beautiful trash rocket smashing its way through space, and it's jam-packed with orcs, generation upon generation of them, sparring and scrapping, building monstrous idols to their mad gods, and praying for doom when the derelict will crash into heaven and disgorge their ever die-hard big-toothed bastards in a glorious tide. Yeah, so very 40K.
Well, I mean, okay, why not?
Yeah, of course.
As someone who is potentially developing space nuns with guns, that is not 40K inspired at all.
Not at all.
Why the fuck not?
Yeah.
Like, this sounds awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And they've got so they said that there's going to be rules for making the orcs punchy and just exactly kind of what you would expect from sci-fi orcs. So so that should be fun. They will be coming to a crowdfunding platform soon, but they haven't specified details. Okay. Yeah. There's no details. But they will have rules for piloting big robots, permanent injuries, cybernetic rules, and tips for jamming pre-made maps into derelicts as a valid way to reduce prep time for the
I never would have thought of this, but that maps, I think, incredibly well with Mork Borg. Because Mork Borg is like the apocalypse is coming, shit's getting real bad, and I'm pretty sure it's unpreventable. Right. So I'm a little bit burned out on the let's play bastards and like grab as much gold before the world ends, right? But like this is a really awesome interpretation of it's kind of the same idea. We've just nope, you're orcs. This thing is gonna fucking crash, and that's gonna be the apocalypse, right? And so let's play that out. I really like the change in theme, but kind of still keeping the core bits.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
People tune in to hear how articulate I am, don't they?
Yeah, and visually too, I think there's a lot to do with this game. Oh, and they also said they're hiring a talented artist and designer, Roland Kunz, Infinite Goblin and Fragnarok creator or artist, as a co-creator for the art.
Nice.
So so they specifically picked an artist to handle this look. So yeah, it should be fun. I'm really curious to check it out. And
I hope the book is like Mork Borg level of art book, except not yellow, green.
Right. Yeah. I hope so. Yeah. That would be great. Yes. Very green indeed. All right. And another announcement that we got that was a little odd. I mean, I guess it's like they're trying to find another gateway into their properties. But Paizo has teamed up with Gale Force 9, and they're producing 3 board games. 3? Yeah, just immediately announced for both the Pathfinder and Starfinder settings. It sounds a little fun, a little clever, and I hope that they're taking advantage of the look and the characters, kind of their iconic characters, in their setting to bring people in and make them curious about actually playing Pathfinder. The first one that they announced is called Pathfinder Level 20.
Okay.
So players will play kobolds fleeing a level 19 paladin who's trying to farm XP to reach level. So this is a bit kind of meta.
Okay,
in
yeah,
the mechanics.
That's pretty meta. Yeah.
And so the idea is you're trying to prevent him from reaching level 20.
Okay.
And so that's So I kind of reverse. I think they called it like reverse Munchkin.
Okay.
It's kind of like the idea.
I did. You know what?
sabotage.
I saw that, and the reverse Munchkin thing kind of turned me off because frankly, Munchkin seems like it's the monopoly of games, right? And hearing Pathfinder level 20, I was like. Like who wants to play a level fucking 20 character with how crunchy that system is, right? Like that was I'm a bit like nope. Then I heard the premise. I'm like, oh, okay, this sounds kind of interesting. Yeah.
But the thing that I liked that's kind of a relief after this, the kind of Kickstarter level of board games, they're pricing it at $30.
Oh,
so it's
wow,
going to
nice.
have
Okay.
modest components, and it's going to not be this like ridiculous. Okay, we've got miniatures for everything, and it comes in this giant box. So I think they're thinking, and kind of like the way that Gale Force 9 did the Dune game, and they do kind of strip down. Not Dune is not quite. It's still like a $50, $60 game. But if they're going to keep
reasonably board game priced.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I was happy to see if they're going to do these cheap games that have a fun mechanic that will make people say, "Oh, hey, what about this Pathfinder world?" Yeah. So the two other games are going to be Starfinder Pirates of Skydock, which will come out Q3 of this year, and then before the end of the year, we'll get one more called Pathfinder Tall Tales. But no details about how those play, just the names themselves.
Interesting. Well, based only on that level 20 thing, I was imagining kind of a Talisman-esque adventure game, especially based on their Pathfinder adventure card game, right? Which seemed kind of like we're going to try and replicate the TTRPG experience, but in card format.
Right.
That's what I was expecting. And then hearing Pathfinder level 20 and how radically different that is, I had guesses about what the other two would be, but I'm probably going to be wrong. They don't sound like adventure board games, like Descent or or whatever. Maybe because they smartly realized that those games already have the big juggernauts in them already. That being Descent.
Right.
Why try and replicate something? Let's do something completely different.
No, that's true. Yeah, I'm curious, and if they keep these two other games kind of smaller and affordable, that would be great. I think that the weird mistake that they did, aside from the production quality of that game, but with that card game that they had, it was the actual scenarios, the actual adventures. So if you played that card game,
you kind of knew.
Yeah, you couldn't really play.
Really?
I mean, it's like it spoiled everything. Like who was the big bad and where the cult was hiding. And it's like the locations were in the game.
Interesting. I didn't think about it going that way. I thought it the other way, where like if you had already played the TTRPG, that scenario, not that you could metagame, but you probably knew what you had to do and what kind of cards you were aiming for to
you knew kind of a little bit more what to expect, and any kind of characters turning or whatever, any secret you would know any secret identities or whatever. But for me, I was really like, so I guess I'm never going to play this now, and
that would be a game you would run. Sorry.
But the Pathfinder level 20 was designed by Dylan Bartolo, who has co-designed Dragonfire and Evil Dead, the board game. A designer with some experience, and we'll see if they keep that up with the other games. I mean, I love the artwork for Pathfinder. The world is is okay. It's different enough that you don't feel like it doesn't feel like generic D&D. Like they differentiated enough with some of the feel, and I like what they did with Starfinder. I like the feel of Starfinder. So we'll see how much luck, and they need stuff to kind of bring people in. I'm glad that they're still like in there fighting. It's definitely a David and Goliath story. But all right, and the last thing that I was excited to see is Forbidden Psalm is doing another expansion.
Ooh, this is a second.
And they previously did kind of a direct expansion of the adventures that were in the first Forbidden Psalm game. So in the path of the wizard, So it kind of gave you another set that continued the narrative, and this will be a whole other almost standalone thing itself. Yeah, I'm sorry, it is a complete standalone game and RPG setting. So it's a complete setting, and from the artwork, it looked very World War I, and kind of what they're kind of pushing it up to a more specific look. And so it's still system or a miniatures agnostic setting, and it can be played. So the big difference about this is it can be played solo, cooperative, or versus. Cool. And so a crew of 5 miniatures per player against AI-controlled monsters in scenarios that take you across the wastes of the last war. So plays enemies cooperative or solo.
Cool.
And they do a nice job, like they did with their previous. So this is on Kickstarter right now, and I'll put a link to it. And like their previous campaigns, they're very clear and they don't have crazy stretch goals. Right. So it's like you can get this book. Yeah, you get this book and you can get our previous stuff as add-ons. So especially if you want things in hardcover, you can't get print on demand hardcover. So this is a good chance to get hardcover of everything that they've done. But you don't need the previous games to play this one. So if this game and system sounds interesting. But at the same time, it's still fully compatible with Mork Borg as far as the RPG.
Again, I've looked at the art book. No, it's a game too, right? I've looked at the book from Orc Borg. It obviously has a setting. I wonder how easy or not it would be to make it World War One, right? Kind of like set it during the last war. Like you probably could with minimal effort, but I had heard about this miniatures game before, and like that last war, World War One, made me go, "Oh, right, that's what it is." So I understand now why they kind of made it a standalone game,
Right.
Because maybe you liked the fantasy thing and you don't want to play World War One era Mork Borg, or maybe you do, but you don't want the fantasy. So they've given you those options.
Yeah. I thought that was a nice move, and I'm glad that they keep moving forward with this because they've got a really active like Facebook group and stuff. There's a community that really is supporting the game, and a couple of the things that they're offering in this Kickstarter. That one of the things I think was available before, but this time it will be in print, is a Dead Festival. So some holiday in theme scenario. So maybe something that was just offered digitally, and then Dungeons and Death, which has new scenarios as well as the introduction of the Endless Dungeon for the.
That sounds nice.
Yes. Oh, and also they're going to do reference card. They're going to produce a deck of physical cards for references and for monsters.
Cool.
I believe. So yeah, it looks good, and they have great art, and the use any miniatures you want and build your own terrain and stuff is really fun. So there'll be a lot of good stuff for that. So yeah, I was happy to see that they're still active and doing it, and they even during all this mess they ship the books right on time.
Because they do things kind of relatively not small, but they keep things manageable.
Right.
They don't pull a Steve Jackson Games and Ogre. Right,
where they kind of overcommit and everything. Yeah, no, that's true. That is true. And I think, did they use Exalted Funeral to fulfill? Maybe. Yeah. So I forget, but it arrived very well. So they don't overcommit, and they don't do anything beyond what they're able to fulfill.
Smart.
So check them out. It's
cool.
It's really fun, and the Forbidden Psalm is excellent as far as the the small group. Everyone has like a kind of a curse and some kind of ability.
No min-maxing in this game.
Yeah, right.
Just like, oh, this is what I'm showing up with.
Right. And I like because you kind of choose what class they're going to be. So you can choose like, okay, he's going to be my sniper. Oh, he's blind.
Right.
So it's really, it is really great how those work out. Yeah, definitely. Min-maxer.
I wonder what that, come up with a word for that. Min-max. Average? Maybe?
Yeah, right. Yeah, just
medium,
anodyne. Yeah, mean. All right, but yeah, that's it for this week. And so good to see you. Glad to be back and have a discussion.
Cool.
Instead of a monologue.
Yeah, if you have a discussion with yourself, I think you should call someone.
Yeah, people kept calling the authorities the whole last 2 weeks, and I didn't understand why. He's just talking and talking. All right. So where can people find you?
On Twitter, as always. It's Hivemynd, HYVEMYND, where I forget what I'm talking about. Probably parenting stuff, right? Because that's what I'm tied up with recently.
Yeah. So no more progress on Sludge or anything coming up?
No, because I don't have nights off. I'm too tired of this. I can't assemble anything. Anyway. So, how about you?
Oh, I'm still doing my single panel gag cartoon. So gocomics.com/domestic abuse and abuse cartoons on all social media as well as YouTube and Twitch, where the live stream happens every Monday night, Tuesday afternoon, and I'm doing it a little bit earlier, so I think I'm screwing over Australia a little bit. The time wise, it's a little bit too much in the middle of the day for Australia. So I apologize for that, but my recent schedule now means I've got to push it a little earlier. Yeah, so someday I'll be able to do a nice long. So I'll actually cover both time zones. A nice like 6-8 hour live stream.
Whoa!
Yeah, then I could
stream your whole day.
Then I could do a daily cartoon. That would be nice. All right. And if you'd like to support what we're doing here, please visit Upturned Table, where we have links to everything that we've done. And patreon.com/Upturned Table will allow you to be a weakling and support what's going on here, as well as give you access to special content and lore videos, and the audio fiction series, which is I'm waiting for the book, the novel to arrive, the first novel for Mutant Chronicles to arrive.
Nice.
It was supposed to be here last month, and so I don't know
shipping's a
where.
mess.
Yeah, so it's a little bit delayed, but I want to start doing chapters of that as the audio fiction. So I apologize for the delay on that. And thank you to K5 just hit month 2 of YouTube membership. So yeah, I think all the original members are now. So I'll put together a little thank you